Okay, good day everyone. So for today's class, I'll be discussing for today's lessons for today's lesson I'll be discussing quick masking in Photoshop. At the same time also, I'll be discussing layer mask and refining edges. So if you wanted to crop and change background, so basically this is an important technique for you to be able to refine the edges of 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 your selection or something that you crop from a particular layer or image. Okay, so I'm going to discuss also using puppet warping. So if you wanted to move portions or move uh, segments of your image, so you can use puppet warping in Photoshop. Okay, so let's start. Um, we're going to start first with the different tools. So some of the basic tools in Photoshop. So some other basic tools in Photoshop. So the the blur tool. So this is used for blurring pixels in your workspace or in your image. So you can always resize the tool size by using the square bracket. Okay, so as you can see, when you select the blur tool on the option bar, you have the strength. So basically, the strength determines the intensity or the effect of the tool on a particular pixel. So meaning to say, the higher the strength is, the higher the intensity or the effect. So let's say, for example, if we're going to adjust it to 19 and select this layer, okay? So you have to click multiple times on the pixels for it to be able to blur the image. Okay, you can always do multiple undos by pressing Ctrl Alt Z many times to bring it back to its original state. Okay, let's try increasing the strength to 100%. Okay, so if you're going to click on the image, okay, so basically the blurring affects faster. Okay, so it affects faster on the pixels because the strength is 100%. Okay, so we can always undo again. Control Alt Z to multiple undos. Okay, so we have the blur tool. If you have the blur tool, we have the sharpen tool. Okay, if we can blur pixels, we can also sharpen pixels. So same also with the blur tool, you can adjust the strength or the intensity or the effect of the sharpen tool. Okay, in this example, I'll be setting the strength to 100%. Then click on the pixel. Okay, we increase the sharpness of the pixels which is being selected. Okay, so that is the strength on the option bar. So you can reduce the strength if you want to lessen the intensity or the effect of the sharpen and blur tool on the pixels. Okay, so next is we have the burn tool. Okay, so the burn tool from the word itself, it's just like you're burning the pixel, but basically you are darkening the pixels. So that the purpose of the burn tool is to darken the pixel. So same also with the sharpen and blur tool. So you can adjust the exposure or the intensity of the effect of the burn tool. So for example, if I'm going to increase it to 100%, okay, so I've darkened the pixels which is being selected. So that is the exposure setting. If you're going to you can increase the intensity of the effect or the effect of the burn tool on a particular pixel. So that is the exposure value. So you can adjust it to your desired value for it to be able to darken a particular pixel. Okay, let's do multiple undo again. Okay, so next is we have the touch tool. So if the burn tool allows you to darken the pixels, so yung dodge tool allows you to adjust the exposure or the brightness of the pixel. So same as well, we have the exposure settings here. So if I'm going to adjust it to 81% and click on the pixel, okay? So we adjusted, we had adjusted the exposure of the pixel being selected. And that is the burn and the dodge tool. Okay, next is we're going to use the quick mask or the quick mask mode. So basically, the purpose of the quick mask is to select portion or pixels in your workspace and lock it. So meaning to say, the portion being selected is uneditable. Okay, so for you to be able to use the quick mask, so on the lower left of the tool, so we have the edit in quick mask mode button, or you can press Q. Okay, so that is the quick mask mode. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use the brush. So go to the brush tool. Okay, so in this case, we're going to make sure we're going to do changes or a change in the color of the shirt of the kid. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to select the t-shirt of the kid by using, again, press the edit in quick mask mode. Okay, so this is already pressed. Okay, so remember the quick mask mode. Press the quick mask mode or press Q. Use the brush. For example, we're going to brush over the t-shirt. Okay, let's try to brush over the t-shirt. Okay. Okay, let's include this one. Let's make the brush larger. Okay, kung makikita nyo, so when you stroke a brush over a particular pixels or portion of the image, so it brushes a red colored selection. It means this is the area which is being masked. So this is uneditable. Okay? Once the t-shirt is already selected, you can now exit the quick mask mode. So press again on the quick mask mode button. Okay, automatically the selection would be outside of the t-shirt. Okay, so that portion is the already selected portion. Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo, if you're going to stroke a brush, let's try red. Let's make it green. We're going to stroke a brush. Okay, if you're going to stroke a brush, basically the selected portion using the quick mask mode allows you to remove the or lock that pixels. Okay, you cannot do anything on the pixel because that is selected. Okay, so let's undo. Okay, so since the selected portion is the pixels outside of the t-shirt, so what you're going to do is you're going to invert the selection. Press Ctrl Shift I, or the select inverse, Ctrl Shift I. So kung kanina, the selected portion is the pixels outside of the t-shirt, so this time the selected portion is the t-shirt. Okay? So if you're going to stroke a brush, eto na siya. So your brush will be limited to the selected portion, which is the t-shirt. Okay? So let's undo. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to use the UN saturation to change the color of the t-shirt. So still, the t-shirt is selected. Go to image, adjustment, then UN saturation. So again, go to image, adjustment, UN saturation. Okay, so adjust the UN saturation. So let's try making it a little bit green. Okay. So instead of using the color placement tool, you can use the image and saturation, the UN saturation under the image, adjustments and saturation. So just okay, so that is the t-shirt is now turned into color green. Okay, we can undo, Control D. Okay. So we already changed the color from blue to green using the quick mask tool. Okay, so next we're going to use the layer mask or layer masking in Photoshop. So when we use layer masking, we isolate selection from its original photo so that the selected portion will only be the portion which you can edit. Okay, so you still retain the original photo, isolate the pixels which is being selected for editing. Okay, so for you to be able to do that, so we're going to use the quick mask to select the boy or the kid and remove its background. So we're going to remove the background of the kid and place it on another background, which is layer 2. Okay, so let's use the quick selection tool. So go to the quick selection tool. So we have the add to selection and subtract from selection. So we're going to use the add to selection so that we can use the quick selection tool multiple times. So let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so select the portion of the kid. Well, okay lang kung lumagpas or lumagpas ka dun sa selection. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the subtract from selection. Okay, so click the subtract from selection. Then remove the portion which is not necessary. Okay. Okay, so once the kid or the boy is selected, we can click the add new layer mask. So on the lower right corner, so we have the add layer mask. Just take this one. Okay. So as you can see, you have the layer mask thumbnail. So yung kulay black, that is the layer mask thumbnail. So you isolate the selection. So this is the selected portion. So this is the portion which is edited, which you can edit. So we can use the eraser tool to remove some of the excess. Okay, let's remove some of the excess, some of the space using the eraser tool. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to refine the edges. So para medyo malinis yung gilid niya. So for you to be able to do that, just right click on the layer mask thumbnail, then right click, then refine mask. Okay, you can click view on black so that mas madaling makita yung edge. So adjust the sliders. The effect depends on the image or the selection. Okay, so we're smoothening or refining the edge of the selection. Okay, so basically it's the adjustment depends on the photo, so it's just a matter of tuning up the sliders so to get the desired output. Then if you're done, you can create a new layer. So select the new layer and click OK. So you now create a new layer, okay, from the layer mask. Okay, as you can see, we already removed the background, and we also refined the edges. Okay, so next is we are going to bend the neck of the giraffe. So we're going to use the puppet warping in Photoshop. Okay, so click layer, the topmost layer or layer 5, which is labeled layer 5, where the giraffe is. Kung nasan yung giraffe na image. So let's resize it a bit. Control T to resize. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So when you are done with free transform or Control T, just press enter. Okay. So next is we're going to use the puppet warp tool in Photoshop. Okay. So what we're going to do is, since the giraffe is the only image on that layer, we can use the select pixel technique. So right click on the thumbnail, select pixels. So automatically you select the giraffe image. So we're going to use the puppet warp. Just go to edit, then puppet warp. Okay. So as you can see, from your selection, a mesh will be displayed. a mesh will be displayed on the image. If the mesh is not displayed, just make sure that the show mesh checkbox is on the option bar is selected. Okay. Okay. So next is we're going to create pins. So those pins or those pinned portion of the mesh will be static, meaning to say it will not move. Let's say for example, confine natin yung movement of the other parts of the giraffe. Let's click some of the pins. Let's say we're going to bend the portion of the neck here. Close it with pins. And close the body of the giraffe below its neck. Okay? You can delete pins by clicking on the pins and pressing delete. Okay? You can add by clicking. Okay? So you enclose this portion, the body below the neck, so that this portion will not move. Okay? So this is the only portion that will be moved by using Puppet Warp. So what we're going to do is select a pin points. For example, this one. This pin. Just click. Okay? So move a little bit on the pin. Then press and hold Alt. Then as you can see, there's a circular symbol. So meaning to say you can rotate this portion. Again, click a pin. Then press and hold Alt. Then move the mouse pointer away from the pin a little bit until the circular symbol appears. Then you can now rotate this portion. Okay? If you're done, press enter. Okay, so that is the Puppet Warp tool. Okay, so this is our final output. So this is all about, this is puppet warping in Photoshop and refining edges in Photoshop. So create the final output using the start file.